Deliberations are still ongoing from the federal government as to whether to remove fuel subsidy or not. Fuel subsidy is a form of government intervention that dates back to October 2000 to reduce the cost of fuel by providing direct financial support to oil companies and, as such, subsidize the product to consumers despite the high cost of importation. Now, during the National Economic Council meeting chaired by the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, they concluded that fuel subsidy should be removed as it has incurred more debt to the nation's purse. The Honorable Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, however, said there is the need for further consultations from incoming administration and representatives of the state governments with alternative measures put in place to ensure sufficient supply of petroleum products in the country. Joining us via Zoom to discuss more is Chairman Ikeja District Society of ICANN, Olusegun Okunade. Good morning, Sheson. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast. Happy Workers' Day.
Good morning, Veronica, and good morning to Chief Mike. Happy Workers' Day and Happy New Month.
Same to you.
Great. Nice to have you on.
Now, Sheson, the government, according to some report, is saying that this is not the best time to remove subsidy. And I am wondering what you make of government's decision. Recall that government had gone ahead to get some monies from the World Bank, talking about $800 million to cushion the effect of removal of the subsidy by June. But now it is saying that this is not the best time to remove subsidy. I'm wondering what you make of this back and forth coming from government. Are we really prepared for this move?
Thank you very much, Veronica. And there are many questions engaging us since 2-3 days ago when we got the news that we are reversing the idea of removing the subsidy. If you look at the administration that is gradually winding up, one of their focal points of a campaign 8 years ago was subsidy was more or less a scam, and the government was not subsidizing anything. That was the former administration. But to our dismay, when they came in, subsidy has been one of the paramount things that they carried out, to the extent that our debt to revenue has risen to about 80-85%, where every revenue will get used in settling debt because of the chunk of money that goes into subsidy. And some of the things they promised that they are going to do to alleviate the pressure was that we're going to fix the refinery, which we are supposed to be producing locally. I don't know. I may not, with my level of varsity, I may not have that information at hand, as they will be exiting by the end of this month. If any of this refinery, as we speak, is functioning after 8 years, and you get to know that leeway was given to private participation with Dangote is coming up, and there's some of us seeing as a sign of relief that will actually reduce the pressure. And when they came up with it that it's going to be reduced, because I'm one of the advocates of saying that we should remove the removal. Why? You cannot be doing the same thing the same way and expect a different result. In the last 15 years, we've been talking of subsidy, and it gets to the level of remove, don't remove. And we keep retaining it, and we get impoverished day by day. Several modalities have actually been put in place, but the government seems not to be giving the listening here. So first and foremost, if we have had a lot and the promises of saying that our refinery is going to be fixed for us to refine some of this thing locally, and we are not getting value for that after 8 years, that's something we can score as a negative to this administration. Also, if you want to talk about you saying that you want to have wide consultation from what you just read in your prologue, what was the initial consultation that was made by the government, leading to you having to borrow $800 million, out of which we have seen some of the breakdown of saying we're going to have about 15 billion for logistics and training. It's quite disheartening that this is coming. But I want to have the assurance in the next 28, 29 days, they'll be out of office. And I want to believe one of the focal points of the president-elect during his campaign was, let's do it in a different way. Even if you are going to buy fuel for 1,000 naira, can we see the result of this? Don't forget that part of the thing this administration have put together is to bring increase in the wages of the civil servant in preparation for the removal of the subsidy. And all of a sudden, we are reverting that few days to it. It brings a lot of questioning to bear. But part of us is we have been doing this same thing, the same way of paying subsidy. Whether it's going to be 1,000, whether it's going to be 700, let's have a change of position as per what it is. And the labor, as they are celebrating today, can we make sure that we monitor, not being reactive, but being proactive to monitor how we fix some of this refinery? And they even promise that aside them building, aside them resuscitating those ones, they are going to build some, but we've not seen anything. It's because we hardly monitor some of the people that have given their words as promises to we citizens, rather than encouraging us. They are impoverishing us the more. But I'm an advocate that let's have a change. And the change is that whether you fix the refinery, you don't fix it, the new administration should go ahead. Let's remove it. We've been suffering. Suffering is not far from it. I'm sure from what you've read from some of the guests you have today, the workers are not finding it funny. But when you get to the peak of suffering, definitely something must happen. But I'm an advocate that should be removed. Then we can engage them more in some of the things that they have actually promised us.
All right. Unions in the oil and gas sector have said that before, one of the conditions they have given is for the refineries to work first, and then we can talk about the removal of subsidy. Now, it's going to take some time. We've seen government invest year after year so much money to refurbishing this 4 refineries, yet they don't seem to be working. Now we have Dangote refinery coming upstream, and sometime later this year, it should go full swing. How much of a game changer do you think the Dangote refinery will be, since it's seen as the biggest, one of the biggest refineries, also biggest single refineries around the world?
Mike, I must tell you for free, it's going to be a great game changer. What do I mean? First and foremost, the foreign exchange, it's going to have a sign of relief. I'm sure you know amount that is being got up by the foreign exchange with the importation of the refined product. So you can imagine we have the raw material, which is the crude oil, being moved to Dangote to produce locally. The cost of freight, bringing some of those things down, whether you like it, even if we send to Dangote at the prevailing market rate, one thing that we'll take out of it is the cost of freight, of bringing some of those things back to the country, which we believe is going to be a plus. And aside that, it's going to create a lot of employment for our people. Since this is alluding to some of the things people like us have been saying. Government has nothing in doing business. All you need to do is to create the enabling environment for businesses to succeed. What they could not achieve for 8 years, Dangote came in as a private person who is focused and have the understanding of what business must run, and is bringing that out to bear. And for 8 years, we have not seen any clue about fixing the refinery. So what we've said is that can we have more enabling environment, not only for the Dangote, but for other people to come together. Imagine us having like 3-4 refineries locally, refining some of these products. We are going to have excess supply to us. And if you look at the logistics, we can give kudos to this administration, even though they point to having 1,000, but we had that we moved 1,700 at the last quarter. It is an administration. We should have up to 2 million.
Chasson, are you there?
I'm free today.
Okay, Sheson, can you hear me?
Very well, Veronica.
Okay. Now, the finance minister talked about consultations, that not enough consultation has been done, especially with the incoming administration, and also Labour also talking about consultations. I'm wondering what shape or form you want to see these consultations take, because workers have a stake with regards to this matter of subsidy removal or subsidy not being removed. Talk about the matter of minimum wage being increased by 40%. That's what the government has said. And the cost of living is still very high. And if you look at the papers this morning, even the unions are reacting that despite the increase in wages, it is making a rubbish of whatever increment that the government is making. How do we strike a balance with all of this, having conversations such that everybody is carried along and we do what is necessary for the Nigerian worker?
Pardon me, Vero, I want to put this closer to the Minister of Finance. Which consultation did they have initially that led to the borrowing of 800 million? Who do they consult? Did they even put in mind the incoming administration? Now we learned that the money has been approved and disbursed to them, and now we are changing the game post. Are you aware that at the announcement of the increment of 40%, the vendors and the market women has actually swung into action, increasing everything and bringing up inflation also. All the control mechanism by the monetary policy to tame inflation has never worked. And you are asking that now that you've had access to the fund, even giving us some of the leeway of how these funds will be disbursed, now you are reverting and you want to consult with the incoming administration. For me, it's government is continual. Since you have made that commitment of removing the subsidy and failure to fix the refinery, and with the hope of Dangote coming to stream before the end of this year, there are some positive troubles that you create for people. And with the creativity and the confidence we have in the new administration, create the trouble. We are strategically positioned to fix what it is that it is. But we cannot continue to have it because we are still expecting the explanation of what happens to the fund that has been borrowed as regard this removal of fuel subsidy, that we are having the clips of how some of this money will be disbursed. That was not consulted with the incoming administration. So you must create the positive trouble for the incoming administration. I am sure they themselves are aware. The first thing the president-elect said is that let Nigerians brace up. We are going to remove the subsidy. And I'm an advocate of that. Let's do something in a different way. We've been doing it the same way in the last 20 years, and it has not been beneficiary to the common citizen. There are models that I know that the president-elect has actually, have with his think tank on how to attack some of these things. But my concern is you strategically put yourself to collect loan, and on getting the loan in which the next administration are going to carry over, you now reverse the case that you because before we will see where we will see a snake swallowing up money again. The money actually been approved and collected. Let's go the route of making sure that remove it. The incoming administration, there are other things that they are doing that the incoming administration. Look at the NPC. They are supposed to have it from 3rd to 7th, but they incoming administration. But I want to say that since you have gotten the money, go the route of making sure that you remove it. The incoming administration will solve the positive problem, the problem you have created in a positive way that will definitely give them, the kudos that they are up to the task of solving some of the problems that this administration has failed to achieve.
Okay. We're losing your audio at the time, but you can hear me now. The point there is unions in the oil and gas sector have said that if oil subsidy is removed the way it is, then Nigerians should prepare to buy fuel at a rate of 700 naira per litre. Now, some who are advocates of the removal of the subsidy, like you, have said that, well, that move or that statement by the unions could just be a way of creating panic so that Nigerians will not buy into the removal of fuel subsidy. I wonder what you make of that, though.
Thank you very much, Mike. I remember when the telecoms was realized, there was a problem that we are going to be paying so much, high tariff as regard the cost of telecoms, because that's another thing that we make use of, like petrol and diesel. But what happened? They came in at the initial stage. I remember the first phone I got is a gem with antenna, was about 40-something thousand then. And then the cost of the line itself. But after a while, with competition coming in place, today the cost has actually gone down. So for me, the atmosphere of saying that the cost of PMX will definitely go up when they remove it, yes, it will. But certain measures will definitely be put in place. Some of the things we have suggested is that when you look at the consumption of PMX, there are certain factors that contribute to it. It is not only for the transportation arm. Also, can we work with the power sector? The incoming administration have put some templates in place with some of the DISCOs, the TCN and GENCO. If we are able to generate more power supply, do you know the number of liters that goes into the consumption via our genset? Where I am in Ayinamoto currently, they are on generator. And you can imagine what that will save if you are able to fix the power sector and relieve the burden. So the consumption will definitely reduce. We have asked that government should invest more in the bus rapid transportation system in such a way that we can enjoy what is being enjoyed in the developed climate. Let's give alternative means of transportation, of which we see some states are actually putting in place for them to make use of. If you are able to do that, definitely the demand on that particular product will reduce. You see, what we are seeing currently is the fulfillment, or what we know in economics, the law of demand and supply. When demand outweighs supply, definitely you know that the cost of that particular product will definitely grow up. But in such a way that you're able to reduce the demand and possibly be at par with supply, the cost of that particular product will not be compared to when there is serious pressure on it.
All right,
so for us, it's not
quickly,
just
because of
those
time. Quickly, because of time, one of the concerns Nigerians have is what will be done with the monies. If we say we are taking out fuel subsidy, what will be done with those monies? How will the government channel that money such that every person benefits from it? Quickly.
Definitely, we all understand the social contract that is expected of government. We know that concerning our constitution, Section 14, subsection 2, spells out the duty of the government, and that is giving good welfare and providing security to the citizen. So I want to believe that if they remove the subsidy, we can invest more in health infrastructure in situation where some of our leaders who has taken it as point of call to travel out for their medical facility can do same locally, just like we had during COVID where anybody could not travel out. We can invest more in education. During the campaign, the president-elect gave us a kind of relief to the student that there is going to be student loan as is obtainable. Some of this money can be used we can pump it into other arms that can enrich. This administration has given good infrastructure. We can build on it and make sure that every citizen enjoy the basic amenities that is expected of them to live a better world. I can tell you for free, Vero, this country is best blessed with human resources. This country is blessed with natural resources. The only thing we are lacking is a directional leadership that can give the purposeful and strategic thinking to harness the raw materials and the resources that we are blessed with. This country is blessed,
All right.
and I
Sure,
know
sir.
if you got it right, we'll enjoy it.
Olusegun Okwade, Chairman, Ikeja District Society of ICANN, thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you very much for having me, and a blessed day and a celebration to all our viewers this morning.
Yes.
All right,
Happy
you
Workers'
too.
Day. Thank you.